So what today I would like to do is, because we are going to have the first exam next week, is it? So I'm going to do some review with all of you so that you all will know where to get the study material. Let me see the very first, yeah. So I'm not going to go to the our course website, but you should be able to download this or view this on our course website. It's a study guide, okay, for our first exam. So over here it lists the chapters, okay, that's going to be covered in our exam. But concentration is on class, inheritance, secure coding, and oh, we also have array list, I remember, in our sample, okay. So the secure coding also one, okay. If you recall our class, we discussed the shallow copy and the deep copy. How do we do the secure coding? And besides the class notes, so basically the class examples. And you can go over, and some of the helpful assignments you can also go over. For secure coding, we don't have any assignments, is it? So you can go back to check our class video for the detailed discussion. And today I'm going to also go over, but not that detail as our class video, okay? But the class video involves the date and the employee, okay? So you can take a look over that part. And over here, we have a sample, okay? Basically, this is back 2019 spring semester's exam. But to be careful, okay, in this exam, we didn't cover secure coding. In this sample one, but in our exam, we are going to cover, okay, but I will explain more using our examples. So over here, you need to design two Java class, okay, so a product class, and you need to write, also be careful, okay, in our exam, if I ask you to write two classes, and then they need to be in two different Java files. You cannot put all of them in a single Java file, one Java file. You need to have multiple files, okay? So this is a parent class, this is super class. So you need to put the super class in its Java file and the subclass in its own Java file, okay? So you need to have at least two Java files in this case. And then for the super class, it said you need to have some instance variable and they are protected, it said, okay. So product ID, manufacturer, wholesale price, markup price, is it listed here? So then when you write your code, you need to base the instance variable requested, select the appropriate type. Is it like for ID, then they should be integer. Is it for wholesale price, then you can use double or float. Is it percentage, same thing, maybe float or maybe double. Is it? So you need to base on the description, okay? And it also lists the instance methods, okay? The constructor, without parameter constructor, then what it asks you to do, initial all the instance to some default value. Okay, so you can provide, is it like the ID, then it's a 5-digit, is it manual, it's a 4-digit. So you need to follow the description, okay, the instruction. And the second, the constructor with parameter, is it? So you also need to initialize them to the argument, is it? And for the set one, It's just do the assignment. Is it? And here retail price, it's the wholesale increase by markup. Is it? So, and the less than. So here's another method. It's less than. And what basically it's less than. It's a kind of you can consider one part of that compared to method. That the compared to it's three cases. That greater than, less than, the equal. That this less than just consider less than. Okay, so it's based on what the product ID is it for the less than, and also the toString. Okay, so that's about this superclass. And then the subclass. But subclass, the answer is private. So you need to be careful, okay, about the instruction. So the name and the warranty and the warranty charge, something like those, okay. So those are private instance variable. And also it says public instance method. So constructor to constructor, same thing, that, and the set method, sales price, and the toString, is it? So then you need to write this Java class. And then, so over here is you need to complete the toJava class. So toJava file, okay. So for product, you can probably name it as product.java. And then for electronics, then you need to have electronics.java file. Okay, so you need to have two different files. And over here, it didn't ask, it also asked you to write the driver class. Okay, driver class. And its main method. Okay. In this here, it asks you to create two electronic instances, E1 and E2. Is it? So you need to do like electronics. Is it like E1 then equals new electronic? Is it? And but here it says one created with default. So this is, and the other one, so E2, then you need to do E. Then you need to plug in value. Okay. So not the default one, explicit value. Okay. Then it said you need to update E1 with the calling set electronic. So then in this case, you need to do that set electronic. So call the respective method, is it? Electronics. Okay, so you can call the respective method. And then it says you can calculate both sales price and also output them. Okay, you can also output the electronic detail information. Okay, so also when you do the toString, be careful, it's overridden. Is it? Because the superclass also has one. Okay, so you need to override it. So over there, you can call super data toString to cover the part from superclass, and then it sells. Okay, it sells detailed information. And what the next part, it asks you to add more operations. Is you create an array of 5 electronic objects. Then you find one with the smallest product ID and output it. As it find the smallest one. And the find smallest one, how do you do that? Because you don't know. You cannot directly access ID, is it? So here you have electronics. So it's an array, is it? So you need to do new electronics, is it? Electronics. Here it's just 5 items, is it? But then for each of it, then you need to do new electronics. Is it with default and with some value? As it depends. Okay, so you need to do 5 of them. And over here to ask you then to find the smallest one. Then how do we find? Because if you recall, the electronic has a method called less than. It's based on product ID, is it? So you can use them to do the comparison. Basically, you can do a temporary one, is it? You can call it smallest. Make it be the first one, is it? That E array sub-0, is it? Then you can use the for loop, is it? For loop, and then you compare, is it? So if like the E array sub I, so you call this less than, is it less than the smallest? Then you update the smallest to this. Oh, it's suppose it's we already called the dot less than, is it? Then you update the smallest to this one, is it? Then the smallest will always keep whoever is the smallest. Then you can just do system dot out dot print, is it? Output the smallest. You can direct output the smallest because the toString, it has its toString, is it? The toString method. So it will output it. Okay, so that's the general flow. Okay. And in this case, it's not for the shallow copy and the deep copy. We let me do the share screen. For the sharing screen, then if you recall, for this commission employee, for the commission employee, I don't think we needed to worry too much because we don't need to worry about its deep copy issue. Okay, it's the other one. Okay, it's this one. It's Java class. We have the date one, we have the employee one, and then let's take a look at the and the driver part. Okay, let's see. Initial the date, initial the employee, and then initial the driver. Okay, and let's first find the date one. So anyway, over here, you have a date class. It's a data class, and it has month, day, and year. And as usual, it has the constructor, set, and get. It's a pretty simple one. Okay, and then let's take a look at the employee. Employee one. For this employee, and of course, in this example, it doesn't involve inheritance. Okay, in our sample exam, it involves superclass and subclass. Okay, so over here, this employee class. So for the name, this one, this two, we don't need to worry. Okay, because they are immutable class. So string is immutable class. Okay, immutable class. And but for these two instance variable, birthday and hire date, their data type is date, is it? So this is reference type. And basically it's mutable type. Is a mutable type, birth date and hire date. Okay. Okay, and Then for the birth date and the hire date, when we do the constructor, so you have the parameter as it pass in, is it? So then birth date and hire date are going to be associated with these two reference. So reference to these two objects. Okay, reference to this object. And then let's see. Over here, you put birthday and hire date as what? As private, is it? So it's supposed to follow encapsulation for information hiding. For information hiding, is it? But take a look, this get method, and it's public, is it? And what it return this birth date. So basically here is a secure problem, security issue. Is it because it's violate the encapsulation? Okay, because you directly return the reference. So the birth date get exposed to third party. Is it? Then anyone can do change on the birth date. That's not what you wanted to do. Is it? Employee's birthday, hire date, suppose not modifiable. Is it? But basically it's modifiable now. Is it? So here is a problem. So you shouldn't allow this to happen. Is it? You shouldn't. So a way to, so this is a shallow copy because it's return a shallow copy. Is it? So what you want to do, because you see, I do need the birthday, hire date, those information, is it? Then what you should do is you should create a copy, is it? So what you need to do is you need to have the date. Suppose return one. Then you need to do new date. Is it? New date. New date you can plug in with the birth dates, or you just call the initial, and then what you can do is like the return one, then you call it's set date. Is it set date? Set date with whose? With birth dates. That like get month maybe, and then maybe get the birth date. Get day. I don't remember exactly. Okay, I'm just assuming. And the birthday dot get year. Is it? So you can. So then over here you create a new object. It's at a different memory location. Is it? Then over here you can return this one. Then this won't expose the original one, but it will have exactly the same value. Okay, same value. That's because then in this case, so here is a stack, here is a heap, the heap. So in your main, is it you create an employee? Suppose this is an employee object. So it's pointed to somewhere. And that employee has the birth date. That birth date point to a memory location. Is it? And over here, if you just say get birth date, is it? So basically that will cause the issue of its return. So this memory location is returned, as it is returned with some date here, is it? So that's not what you are supposed to do. You are not supposed to be able to access it, is it? So that's why over here, is it? Over here, if you call what we just do the new, is it? Then that's that return date. Return date, then it's what? It's point to a new one. This is what that new date create. Is it? Then it will get value. Get the day, month, and year value to this date object. Then this will be returned. So it's at a different memory location. And this is still encapsulated. Okay, that's how we get around with the problem. Okay, so be very careful. Then this version is a deeper copy. Deeper copy. Okay, so that we can get around with that security problem. Okay. So be careful here. And then I remember then in the example as it we showed with the version that we just saw, as it has the issue. You can get the birth date, you stolen it. Then you can call that month even to some negative value. That's not correct, is it? So this shouldn't be allowed. Okay. So that's regarding this deep copy and the shallow copy security coding discussion. Okay. Then next, let's see. Let me see, it's over here. Okay, so let's take a look at our course website. Okay, let me show you where you're going to find the information. So for inheritance, is it? We have the class notes here, the class notes here, then we have that date and employee. Okay, so this example, you can take a look, okay, regarding, and this is a commission one, okay, you can take a look. And for this test array, it also has the example for objects, okay. So you can review this part, and then let's go back to not inheritance, the Java review, that chapter 11, that chapter 11, yes, over here. Over here, we also have that example, that the date, the Java employee, and then we have that employee. Okay, so this is also regarding that example. You can take a look. And then let's take a look at the other one. Go back to this one. And yes, let's take a look at the house one, is it? And for this, but in our exam, in this exam, but if you want, you can do this using clonable, okay, but not required. Not required, okay. So to get a deep copy over here in this house example, because over here, this one built, the type is also the date, but this is from Java library, it's date, okay. But anyway, this is also a mutable class. Okay, mutable class. Because of the mutable class, that, and we didn't, so over here, it provides this get when built, and you just directly return when built. So here is the security issue. Okay, you shouldn't do this. You should return a deep copy. Okay, not a shallow copy. Okay, so be careful. And return a deep copy. How do you do that? And even if you just do the super.clone, that won't work, okay, in this case. So if you do want to use that clone method, then you first need to call super clone. And then for that when built, you need to do clone again. Then you return the clone, okay. The other way, like this case, is what I just described for the date. You can create a new object, is it? And you also create a new date, is it? Create a new date, and then you do what? You call this new dates set function, and then you call the original's get. So this is original objects get, is it? And this is call base set method, and whatever the get will go into the set. Okay, then this is going to be, so this when built, then it's going to be a deep copy. Is it a deep copy? So then this house, this is also a deep copy. Deep copy. Okay, so you need to be careful about these cases. Okay, these cases. And for this one, over here it shows the code regarding you create an array, is it? So you first need to create an array of the object, and then for each of it, then you need to do another new, okay, create an individual object. Then the array can reference the individual object, okay? Then you can do something. Okay, so that's the general idea about our exam review, okay?